So, Bill, how has your return to comedy been so far?
It's been very fulfilling. I didn't realize how much I missed the stand-up aspect of my life. It's one of those things I feel like I've been given a gift to make people feel better through laughter, and who am I to turn my back on that? In hindsight, I really should have just taken a break instead of making the whole big retirement announcement and stuff. uh, because I think deep down I knew I wasn't going to make it. There's just you don't get that juice anywhere else.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that I wish everybody could experience it because it's just pretty amazing, especially when like up in there when I'm doing a show. My show actually, and I say this not sucking up to you, but the shows I do in Canada are always so much fun just because it's like they love to laugh, and just in case you're worried, I don't do any political or anything like that. I'm just here to make you feel better through laughter.
Awesome. Now, I read an interview you did recently um, about that, about exactly making people laugh, and that being like you said, it was like the biggest reward of coming back. Um, how does that part of it feel? Not just going out and performing your material, but just like the feedback you've gotten from your audiences.
Well, it makes you feel great. It's always nice when you feel like somebody reaches out to you and that your material touched them in a way, their lives, and that's why I try to write my stuff so that there's a real relatability there. That Jay Leno gave me some great advice one time, a long time ago. He said, "Never do jokes about things you don't know about." He said, "Because the audience will know it," and that's what I do with my audiences. As I give them that respect that look, I'm not trying to talk over you or demean you. I'm just a guy who stumbled into the greatest career ever.
And what can people expect from your new material?
It's going to be Bill Engvall type of material. The show there's going to be really fun. Actually, the show in general is just really fun right now. It's a mixture of new stuff, and we'll throw in some classic stuff that maybe some people hadn't seen. But it's just like we're going to talk a lot about retirement. How when I was around 24/7, she had a list of stuff for me to do, and I knew it was time for me to retire when I caught myself sitting. I come out of retirement uh, when I caught myself sitting in a chair in our living room watching the Housewives of Salt Lake City, and I knew their names. That was what I went. I got to get back on the road.
That's understandable. Yeah. Um, Now, I guess in terms of the start of your career to now, like pulling inspiration for stuff for your comedy, has it stayed relatively? I mean, you said there's going to be some classic stuff, but also some new stuff. Do you see differences between the two or similarities between the two? Like, is there a common thread? And I guess like what you've learned in all these years doing comedy?
That's a great. I think probably it's the same. It's kind of that. Don't change horses in the middle of the stream. It's I there's just a certain way that I look at life, and I hopefully can convey that so that people go, oh, like I can always tell when I've done a good joke when I see a husband or a wife kind of elbow each other in the show and go, yeah, that's you right there. Like a good example is that like one of these things my wife loves to do is go through open houses, but we're not looking to buy a house. We're not even going to put an offer in. She just wants to see how other people live.
That's fair. I get that too.
No, no, it's sick. It's a sickness. I'm telling you, man. We were in, dude. We were in an open house, and she literally straightened a picture of somebody else on the wall. That's a problem. That's a
Okay.
problem.
Um, now in terms of getting your start in comedy and like leaning into the blue collar and like I guess how did and kind of like you said the advice you got from Leno, not picking something you don't know, how did you kind of begin your path?
Um, I don't know if it was naivety or stupidity, but I like went up on an open mic night one night that my friends we had a few beers and they talked me into going up on stage and I just talked about stuff I knew about, like life stuff. At the time I was in my 20s, so this would have been during the disco era, and I just talked about being a DJ in a nightclub, and people started laughing. And but I didn't know you could make a living at this. My God, that was. But I figured I'd do this for a year or so, and then I'd have to go get a real job. And here we are 45 years later. So I'm not going to mess with that equation, how that got me this far. But yeah, from the open mic night there in Dallas, Texas, to the blue collar guys, to touring on my own.
Hmm.
It's been an amazing career and it keeps going. I understand now why people like George Burns and all these people keep going. I don't know how Steve Martin done. He's actually started going out a little bit, not but he's going out as a banjo player
Hmm.
with his bluegrass band. But I don't know how he doesn't get back into it a little bit because it's just the best high there is.
Yeah, and I especially you say that about Steve Martin, like I know he does like one-offs and stuff, but yeah, like if he's doing one-offs, like if you're saying it's the best high there is, how he doesn't do like a full.
Right.
I mean,
But that's the beauty of it too. Everybody's got their own way of dealing with this. I just know that I can't go with that. And it's weird. It's not. I should clarify. It's not an ego thing. It's not like I need people to say, "Oh, we love you, Bill." I don't need that. It's just that feeling that you get when you're on stage and you're in sync with the audience and the biorhythms or whatever it is are all in line. It's just the greatest feeling on the planet. And it's also great therapy for me because my audiences keep me off a building with a deer rifle. Sometimes I read and see what people do, and I go, "Good Lord!" I go, "The end is near." Something there's just
and now, as far as your film and TV roles go, I saw Tony Shalhoub speak a couple months ago about comedy, and he said this thing that I found to be really profound about delivery, and I guess like you being the mechanism for delivery when you're giving a live performance versus when you're doing film or TV and someone else has like the opportunity to cut it and things like that. I guess how do you feel about that difference?
um. I always think live is best.
Hmm.
Listen, doing movies and television shows is really fun, but you're just basically regurgitating something else that somebody wrote
Right.
that wasn't you. When you're alive on stage, that's you. That's a high wire act without a net.
Hmm.
You got if it goes great, you get all the praise, but if it sucks, you're out the door. So I always prefer live. Like when we were getting ready to shoot my show that I had on TBS, they said, "Do you want to do soundtrack or do you want to do live audience?" I'm like, live, without a doubt, live,
Yeah.
because it's a different energy. It's you're not like writers can write some really funny stuff, but like Tony said, the delivery is what makes it tick. You could give me the best joke ever written in the history of comedy, and if I don't got the timing right, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right. And now, is there anything else that you'd like the people of Western New York, the people of Southern Ontario to know ahead of the show?
Just to come on out here, it's going to be cold, so come inside where it's warm, and we'll get some laughs going.
That sounds great. Thanks again for your time today, Bill. I appreciate it.
All right, bud. You take care.
You too.
Bye bye.